Hi, my name is Yui Chow. I'm with New York Hongga Kungfu. I started Hongga in 1992 with Sifu Ji Wei, also known as Frank Yi. Well, the term Kung Fu is actually meaning skill through hard work. So Kung Fu itself does not mean martial arts. In Cantonese, it's called Mo Se. The Mandarin people call it Wushu. So the proper term is actually Wushu or Mo Se. But it's really accepted that Kung Fu is martial arts, and that's not the case. But we accept it as such, and so we use it interchangeably now. When Mao Zedong took over, the Communist Party took over China, one of the first things they did was eliminate all Kung Fu. They made it against the law to practice it openly because they didn't want any rebellions. And a lot of the practitioners had to go underground or flee China or be killed. So what happened was that Kung Fu was banned in China. Years later, when the government decided, you know what, Kung Fu is part of our tradition, Chinese tradition, we need to bring it back. What they did was they took Kung Fu, the different styles, they took out the fighting aspects of it, and they put in like fancy moves to make it look good. That's why the wushu you see in a lot of the movies today, like Jet Li, is very interesting to watch. A lot of the fighting aspects have been taken out. That's why there's compulsories, just like gymnastics. You have to do certain things in the wushu competition. You have to do certain flips, you have to slap the ground. It looks nice, but it's not meant for fighting, and that's what the government wanted. The history of the Shaolin Temple tells us is that an Indian monk, Dat Mo, went to the Shaolin Temple to try to teach them about Buddhism, and he found that during the lectures, the monks over there started falling asleep because they had such a bad health aspect. So what Dat Mo did was he introduced a series of exercises that we come to refer to 18 Lohorn sets. And from these sets, the monks stayed more awake, they exercised more, and from these 18 Lohorn sets is where we get a lot of the Kung Fu styles from. A lot of different styles. There's Hongga, there's the 5 families of southern China, Hongga, Choi Lei Fut, Lei Ga, Choi Ga, Mok Ga, and so all these 5 families. Then you have Wing Chun, you have Bak Mei, then you have Northern Long Fist. So there's a lot of different styles in Kung Fu, and it's all based on region, internal and external was a fairly modern term they apply to it, like Xingyi, Tai Chi, Bagua, stuff like that. At the parks in Chinatown, there's a few of them that every weekend you have a lot of people out there practicing Tai Chi and other styles. But Tai Chi is the predominant style that you see outside in the parks, because it's easier to practice.
Well, I switched actually from Judo to Aikido, from Aikido to along with Aikido, Kendo, and then Tai Chi, Bagua, Chinese arts, because I saw that the essence of the martial arts really was more present in some of the Japanese, but certainly in some of the Chinese arts. So I wasn't interested in the combat aspect of it so much as I was in the more meditative aspects of it. So initially when you learn martial arts, it's about the physical, it's about kicks, punches, drills. But as you get more and more advanced in it, you realize that it's actually about self-discipline. It's about self-control. It's not about overcoming others, as is kind of in the culture right now. It's about overcoming yourself. And I've had a bit of experience. I mean, the last few years I've been training in Thailand too, Muay Thai, which is much more aggressive, much more external. And they just fight. That's all it is, you get in a ring fight. But you realize that even when you're in a ring fighting, it's about you, it's not about your opponent. It's about, can you remain calm, can you remain still, can you remain without hesitation, fear, or any of that. Can you just completely be present? It's a meditation. And the fighters that can do that, you'll see, are always relaxed, and most of the time they win. So that's actually the spirit of martial arts. Here in Chinatown, I've been studying with a teacher here, and she teaches Tai Chi as a martial art, which a lot of people don't. So when you learn Tai Chi as a martial art, it's completely different to when you learn it as an exercise. Me, it was always Tai Chi because it's something you can practice into your 80s, whereas some of the other arts you can't. And there's a philosophy behind it. Thousands of years of traditional styles, which is good and sometimes not so good. So, like Tai Chi, that's Chinese yoga. That has a very strong fighting aspect. And then also the people who practice now don't realize that these practices here have a application throughout life. Like for example, the idea of Tai Chi, of non-resistance, of yielding. This is something that you practice in your life. When difficult situations come up, you don't become aggressive or stressed. You try to listen, which is what Tai Chi is. When the punch is coming in, you don't try to block it. You yield to it, and you redirect the power. So those are things you can use in your own life. You know, when you're stressed, when you have a very challenging situation, you learn to be relaxed, calm, think your way through it in the most efficient way possible. In Tai Chi, they say 2 ounces controls 2,000 pounds, which means with 2 ounces of strength, you can redirect and control 1,000 pounds, 2,000 pounds, because you don't resist it, you redirect it. This is why it's so powerful.
MMA stands for mixed martial arts. Mixed meaning you learn different styles to, this is what Bruce Lee said, use what works. And this is what the MMA credo is. Use what works in the ring, and that's what people do. When the Kung Fu movies started coming out in the early 70s, and Bruce Lee came out with his movies, it was a totally different atmosphere. You could see the difference in not only how Kung Fu came, but all martial arts. People started learning more karate, more judo, taekwondo, but people that didn't even know Kung Fu started advertising that they knew Kung Fu. It was a wild time, but it was incredible. I know that in America here, a lot of the Chinese martial arts, Kung Fu, are practiced by non-Chinese. It seems like a lot of the Chinese people nowadays want to get away from Kung Fu because they feel it stigmatizes them. When people see them, all they think about is, oh, they think I know Kung Fu because I'm Chinese, or I know karate because I'm Japanese. So there's just a stigma attached to it. And for myself, there was a stigma too, but I wanted to learn it. It wasn't until later on that I learned to embrace it, saying, you know what, this is my culture. If I don't learn it, I can't pass it on. So the cultural aspects of Kung Fu is actually carried by a lot of non-Chinese, a lot of non-Asians.
I've been studying Kung Fu now for roughly 30 years and teaching for about 20 years. And this has been my life's passion since my early teens. My original Sifu, my original master is Sifu Tony Lau. And then later on, I'm learning from Master Takwa In. Both of them are students of Grandmaster Wai Hong. He's one of the leading figures in the Chinatown community and Kung Fu in the entire world. So the lineage that my Kung Fu comes from is very well renowned, and I'm very proud to have studied under these people. They're very kind to me, very helpful, especially Master Lau, and took me on when I was a young teen, about 13, 14 years old. I approached him to learn Kung Fu. At that time, there's not many non-Chinese to be accepted into this relatively secret world of Kung Fu. So I do owe him a very big debt of gratitude for allowing me. Most of the classes conducted in Cantonese because the immigrants in Chinatown are Cantonese. Not like what you see today. Today Chinatown is very different, very different. Most of the immigrants, not even Cantonese proper from Guangzhou, from Canton City, but rather Toisan, that one particular village. You cannot gain introduction to a school or to a particular master unless you have an introduction from a very close friend and have a very good referral. Otherwise, they won't accept you. Because at that time, the Sifu are not teaching to make a living. The Sifu are teaching to preserve this cultural art form. Most of the Sifu they have different jobs that they're doing at that time. So they would be teaching in the evening and in the weekends. Most of my Siheng, my older classmates, they are Chinese American born, but first generation. They still speak the language. Some of them can write the language. They have a close tie to the community. But their children and their children's children are into different things. So they no longer care to learn this art form. So slowly, as the 80s pass and the 90s coming, the face of the school is changing. You're having more lo-fi, coming in, changing the face of the Kungfu. And that way, even the Sifu, they have to change the mindset. Because many of the older generation Sifu, I'm sure they're thinking they will have a Chinese Todai, a Chinese disciple as their standard bearer, their successor. Chinese kid don't want to do it. But now the American kid is really into it because of the media, because of Bruce Lee, because of the movies, as we say, Shaw Brother movies, because of Jackie Chan and later Lei Jet Li and so on. It's inspiring their imagination as I was, 20 years before to become that. But the people of today are very different than the way we were 20, 30 years ago. We were taught to, 真的很聽話師傅. You must obey the 師傅. You must listen to the 師傅. 師傅 is literally your father in Mo Gun. You must follow his word to the letter. Today is more like a coach. The student is more like a customer, like a client. When we're training, if Grandmaster says something, or Lao Sifu or Tawa Sifu say something, you better do it. No questions asked. If you say you do 100 push-ups, you do 100 push-ups. If you say sit in a particular position for as much time as he desired, this is what you do. And in that way we were disciplined. Today it's more about I pay you X, I expect to receive X. So the whole mindset has changed. I think because at that time in the 60s and the 70s, women are just coming into their own, becoming much more liberated. Now, in today's generation, the boy and the girl are virtually equal. At that time, when we're training, if we have one girl in the class, wow, it's like it's a big oddity. Very weird, very weird. Remember, traditional Chinese parents, they won't let their daughter da Kung Fu. No way, no way. That is the man's area. But as a society around us change, so does the Kung Fu change. It has to accept the social changes that are imposed upon it. So now you see today's women are fully empowered. They are their own individual. They come and go as they please. They have their own money. They have their own careers. They do as they wish. So now more and more women want to be involved in Kung Fu.
Since I've been taking Kung Fu, I find that my breathing is more natural. Doing the Hunggar style, my muscles are tighter, my tendons are stronger, my bones are stronger. And internally, like when I'm tired, I can bring my energy back. I know how to calm myself and do a series of iron wire exercises that help regenerate my chi, and I feel stronger, more awake. more energized. That's the one thing I realized that I can do with Kung Fu, that when I took karate, taekwondo, I couldn't quite do after I worked out or when I was tired. Well, practicing Kung Fu also gives you self-defense, confidence, discipline. For kids that just do Kung Fu based on movies or video games, it's not the same. They're watching a movie, they're playing video games, sitting down on the couch, they don't feel any hands. So they feel like they can hit somebody and nothing will happen. So they could be aggressive. Whereas kids that actually study martial arts, whether it's Kung Fu, karate, taekwondo, they have to become less aggressive because they realize, I don't have to hit somebody. I know what it's like to hit a pad or a spar or whatever. They don't have to test themselves. They're actually calm, they're calmer, they're more disciplined. So it's the opposite. When you don't study it, you watch movies and play video games, you can get more aggressive. Whereas studying the martial arts actually calms you and gives you more discipline to be less aggressive. That's my opinion. Kung Fu has been around for over 1,000 years, and it'll be around even with the onslaught of MMA, because when people learn Kung Fu, they can learn it for the rest of their life. With Kung Fu, you can learn it till you can keep practicing it till you die, because there's a health aspect to it, an internal aspect to it.